Hi, I'm John Walsh, and I'm an engineer here at Lava Room. I do a lot of band work. My claim to fame was I did all live broadcast work for WMMS, 80 national acts. But right now, I'm into doing movies. I just finished a movie with David Greathouse, uh, an international movie shot in Zambia. And that's the direction that I'm really going. And we have a 5-1 room here that is just phenomenal. The movie is a 5-1 movie. As soon as it's released, I can show it to you. But that's where I'm going right now is movies, soundtracks, and sound design, and just putting a whole movie together. And it'll be exciting. That's a funny thing, though. Having been with the studio as long as I have and seen as many different sessions go through here as I have, 95% of what is done by any engineer, there's some production involved, because the engineer, if you don't want your engineer to actually give you feedback on what you're doing, you want just an engineer, someone who will do exactly what you tell them to do. A producer, though, brings their knowledge, and if you're lucky and the chemistry is right, you can make beautiful music together, because it's like when you write the music, you're not maybe you do write it by yourself, but I think in terms of bands, because that's what I'm mostly associated with. Bands write collectively, and mixing and recording is kind of a collective thing, because as an engineer, I have to be able to get the sounds that the client would like, but at the same time, I have to be able to help take those sounds as a producer and make them into something that will actually raise them up a level where I had to give the example. I did an album, and I'm not going to say who, did an album, and this album was on par with the Red Hot Chili Peppers record, production-wise, just slamming. The band comes in and listens and goes, whoa, wow, but we can't use this. I said, why? Well, we don't sound like that. Yeah, but you do. But we don't. They couldn't get across from how they sound when they play live as a band to what they should be sounding like on a recording. And we ended up doing a mix that made it sound like they were a basement band, because that is how they felt they should sound. Another band, I wasn't actually doing the mix, but another engineer here had a session where the record sounded awesome, just awesome. And the band came back and went, oh, it's too much compression. That doesn't sound like us. But the record sounded like it was supposed to be on the radio that day. That's what a producer is supposed to bring, is that knowledge of how to take yourself out of the basement sound and have something that people go, whoa. That's what our job really is. We're audio hairdressers. Oh my God. It changes every day. Um, New challenges, new, and for every challenge that I had from 3 years ago, there is a software solution that will help put me so far ahead of my mixes just a couple of years, just last year. Um, am I getting excited? I love doing what I'm doing. I have been behind a console. Wow. Um, yeah, 40 some years now. And I can't imagine myself being anyplace else. I just can't. I used to be a haunted house actor, and um, well, I lie. I'm a drummer. I play drums. Playing drums is keeping America safe. I don't beat people to death. And I'm back to playing drums again. I'm playing with a couple of different bands, doing studio work, and play drums and write music. Oh, and I'm working on my wife's movie too. Best session was with First Light. And the best session wasn't when we cut the album. The best session was the session I did when I said, I had a 1" 24. And at the time, people go, you can't cut reggae with a 1" 24. You have to have a 2". And I went, nah. And I told First Light, I said, I'll tell you what, you come in, you cut a song for free with me, and we'll mix it. And if you like what I did, then you give me my rate and you pay me up front for the record. Well, yes, they loved it. They paid me up front. I did the record. But the cool part about this was that Rod Reisman, the drummer, I got everything, I got sounds on everything. And I just want to check my drum mix and levels as I'm doing this. And this is back in the days of tape. So there is, you get this or you don't get this. And Rod goes, I'll go in and I'll whack some drums. I say, just go and play the song. So he literally went in and played the song, and I had hit record, and he counted it in and played the song, and everybody in the room is just in awe. He's playing the song that they're about to play by himself perfectly. He comes in, everybody, wow! I have the band go in and track against his drums. This is not how I cut any of my records ever. I used to when I was doing this kind of work on tape. We cut it live, always live. The drums were never done separate. Capture all the chemistry. How is this going to go? The band walked in and played, and that song made it onto one of the MMS releases. Magical session. Rod, while the band is playing, came in, laid down, and went to sleep for the rest of the session. That's so funny. Now, if you want me to give you the other really good one was when I did Love Hate for a live broadcast with WMMS. And they had this song, Angel, that was a hit. And I had listened to the song. They always sent me CDs first to listen to, so I would be familiar with the band. And I listened to the song. Oh, yeah. Now, when I would go out and do live stuff, I had racks of outboard gear. So whatever I wanted, I had live. And I had a delay that for me, for the radio, it just felt really right. It was probably a little much, like the in excess delays that people went, whoa, would never think it's local. Anyways, so they heard the song after they left. Great show. Everybody loved it. They heard the song uh, because I had tapes and they took some and they put that out in Kerrang as a floppy with my mix on the A side for releasing Kerrang. And the singer sent me an email, loved it because he always thought the delay should have been a little more. And it's like, yes, love it when a plan comes through. It could have been a horror show. Prince. Without a doubt, Prince. It's only been in the last 4 or 5 years that I've really appreciated not just his musical technical ability, but going back and listening to some of his records, the mixes, the sounds, the feel and chemistry that he captured and brings to every one of the songs is remarkable. That is a tough question. When I owned my own studio that did all the live broadcast work, I had an article written about me, and they used a quote that I gave, and that I have no taste in music because I like everything. But there's a caveat. It's got to be done well. I really don't. I have recorded, I think, pretty much. I can't say every kind of music because there's the whole world. I have recorded a lot of different styles of music that I have really enjoyed and that I would be happy to do again. But it's about, to me, especially with bands, it's about the chemistry of the band and what they bring. If they're solid and I really like them, I don't care if they're actually technically correct, as long as they have that feel that, and any monkey can push a button, but you capturing the moment, the energy, the chemistry, that's where the real art comes in. When the stars align, and not only is the song played technically correct, but it has that magic feel that, I know I don't have much hair, but it raises the hair on the back of my neck when, people play so well together that you can hear the chemistry coming out. And that's when I know I got a hit. Wow. That's a tough one because there are assholes and there are people who don't mean to be assholes, but because of their attitude, ego, arrogance, slash 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 pick one, um, they become problematic to work with. I will say this: just because I think they're problematic does not mean that I can't work with them. And that's one of the things that I'm amazed at. I have had sessions with people that we've gone to screaming matches over how a mix should go, only to come back the next day and no matter which way it went, the other party would go, "Ah, yeah, okay," and we just moved on. And I guess that's all about being open with the clients. Sometimes I cannot blow smoke up a client's ass. I can't tell you it sounds great if it sounds like shit. I can't do that. I can't tell you that you're perfectly in pitch when you're not. I can fix it and we won't ever tell anybody because that's the musical hairdresser part. But the people, what I don't like are, yes, the people I don't like, clients I don't like, are the people that feel that they're entitled to be assumed that they are the best. It's an attitude thing that it's weird because when you walk into the studio and you have to sit and work with somebody for 6, 8, 10, sometimes, well, I've done sessions that start at 10 a.m. in the morning and we all napped out for a couple hours in the studio and came back and finished at 10 o'clock the next night. And there was bad blood at points, but at the end of the day, everybody came back and it was good. But that's a really tough one because what is relevant and to who? I mean, right now, when you talk about marketing, relevant to where are we going? Because the internet, it was all excited. Ooh, the internet is the world. Yes, it's the world. And the problem is that now you've changed the marketing from one little space that you could, like maybe your local area, region, 60 miles in your hometown, you could deal with that. Now you can pay to do stuff. See, this is where musicians got to learn the business. They got to stop counting on, I'm going to do the music and I'm going to hire somebody to take care of my career. Because that's potential death for lots of artists. And as a side note, be it a manager, a roadie, a sound man, anybody connected with the band, if they aren't 100% into the band, you don't need them, period. Whoever it is, if they're not into you, really into you, you can train people who aren't good at something, but if they're into you, they will work for you and with you. You don't want to have people who are only there to collect the money off you, because there's enough of those. No. Did I answer that fast enough? No. No. But there's a funny thing with this. I have found my success in doing live broadcast work came from I could sit down and boom, I'm slamming a mix. I got the people said my mixes sounded better than the show sounded in the show. I could slam a mix. Now, the problem with that is that I was generally pretty happy after I heard them back because it's that moment, the adrenaline and everything. Now, when I go and I do a mix in the studio, my first mix is going to be the mix that I like the most generally. And then I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to go, no. And I'm going to nitpick all the little things that I don't like about it. And then I'll fix it. And this is probably because my biggest forte was the live mix thing. For me, stepping into the studio was hard because I could mix it forever. Forever. And I mean forever. When I did the Floyd Band album, Tomcat and I mixed that in a night, literally in a night. And I slept through part of it. He mixed. He slept through part of it. I mixed. We reviewed it, all of it in the morning, made whatever changes we were going to make, and we were done. And that record today, people hear this record and they go, wow. They're still telling, Nick just called me up the other day to tell me that he had played it for somebody, like, wow, that sounds like it was done yesterday. It was a good record. It was a good chemistry. It's a tough game. I see things split in that you can follow the formula of I want to be like fill in the blank and go in that direction, or you can, what I think is the right direction, at least from a musician point of view, is be yourself. Be true to what you want to present as yourself, because it's hard. If you're lying, people know you're in your music. It just doesn't work. Be true to yourself. And if you're lucky enough by being true to yourself that somebody's interested in you, no matter who that is, even if it's one person, be happy. Take all the positive that you can, because you're going to get enough negative, no matter what you do, but be true to yourself. Professional would imply being paid. So since I'm going to say 81, 1981, somewhere in there. So I'm going to guess that's 40 years, something like that. So I started in high school. When I started in high school, I got on TV crew at Lakewood High. Awesome program. Mr. Newland was a great instructor. Really nice. I mean, we were getting Channel 3's leftover gear when they changed. And everybody either wanted to be behind the camera or they wanted to be talent. Well, what was left? The sound guy. But the sound guy, I got to put the lavaliers on all the girls. Okay, so this was how I actually got into recording audio. And that was in 1971. So fast forward, and here I am. I guess everybody always walks away happy, and generally, I think it's because I try and keep the session productive. Um, I may get in trouble for this when our owner sees this later, but I have been known to cut a session short if the singer comes in and has no voice. I can't, in good conscience, have them do an entire session. Now, they're going to pay for the part we used, but I can't see forcing something musically because it never works. Now, on the other hand, that goodwill has come back, and people have never bitched about the time they spend with me. So I suppose I do both because I've been doing this a very, very long time. And I'm at that point where I also play drums. I can play guitar and keys, and I have a real musical background. So I find that when I'm working on music projects, I end up having some kind of influence on it because I'm aware of, after all these years, I guess, good music, because that's why people keep coming to me for projects. Well, unless it's absolutely impossible, every client I have ever worked with, I try and make a point, especially if it's a band, as a solo artist, whatever. If they play live, I want to go out and see the people play live, especially the bands, because everybody plays different when they walk in the studio. And a lot of people seem to be impressed that I will come out and see them before they come into the studio. And I can't understand how you can record somebody and never see them, because it's like what they do live is, that's where, if they have chemistry, that's where you'll see the real chemistry. And that's what you're trying to bring out in a session. And I think because I do that, I'm able to help bring that chemistry out so that people go, wow, felt good, sounded good. I have I can't remember the last session that we didn't keep the majority of the takes that we did on, say, like cutting a 5-song day. And that's I think kind of remarkable, you know. When I was 17 and I was playing, and I have been playing since I was 12, if you would have told me that I would be making my living in the music business, being an engineer and producer, anything other than a drummer, I would have ripped your leg off and beaten you to death with it, because I could not imagine that. But I'm really, no, I can't imagine myself doing anything else, because I do everything in this business. I'm working on films, I'm doing band recording, I'm playing. I'm in the business. I do live sound. I'm in the business. And that, I think, is reassuring to me, that I can make my living in the business. And I do. For about 9 years, from the time I was in my 20s, I worked in a factory. And I got out of the factory and I decided I was going to go to After Dark Kirkiano. He's worked with a bunch of people, Miles Davis, a bunch of people. I went to his studio and I said, I want to get out of this. I want to get in the studio business. I want to record. I want to learn how to record well. And the whole process of learning how everything works. I'm a drummer, all right. But right now, where I'm at right now, this moment, in my musical and engineering producing career, I want to do movies. I have fallen in love with doing movies. I still do bands. I'm working with AC3, great band, AC4. They added a member. It's funny you should ask that one because that comes from, as you can see, I'm a little older. I've been around the block a few times on bicycles, cars, never got my flying plane. The problem is that I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing. I have been wrong, rarely, but I've been wrong, and I will always admit when I'm wrong. But if I suggest to a client that you may want to do this or try that, I'm doing it because I'm pretty sure that if you do this, it will be successful and we will be able to get what you want to happen. And the problem I have is when people go, well, and mercifully, I haven't gotten this in the studio, but I get this talking to people before or after studio sessions about moving forward on something. Well, I'm not sure you really know because you're not in whatever, if it's the punk thing or a metal thing, or you're not heavy into that. Yeah, but I have done it. And that's the frustrating part is when you've done something and somebody wants to argue with you and tell you that something that you know works doesn't work and they don't want to try it. It's like, oh, okay. And then it just takes longer for the client. Because I always thought that's what you're paying for us to do is help you be better. Any technical difficulty with gear that I haven't experienced before freaks me out because I've been doing this a long time. So I would think my brain goes, well, you've seen everything, you know how to deal with shit. And there's always, and it'll come usually at a bad moment when somebody's just ready to do a track and they're ready. And here comes the vibe killer of a technical issue. Those are the frustrating moments for that. The defining moment for me musically was I'm adopted. I had a Catholic big brother, and at one of the Catholic big brother banquets at the end of the year when everybody got together and we all did stuff. They had a band. The band was up and they were playing Little Black Egg. And I watched the band and I went, that's what I'm going to do. And from that day on, um, I started playing drum. I actually started playing piano first, which was when I was in Catholic school. Then I went to drums, and drums have been my forte for my musical career. I think on my bucket list is a Grammy. I mean, I'm in a facility that does Grammy work, so I'm thinking that I just need the right project, and to get the right project, I'm hoping it's a movie this time. I'm hoping, but I would take a band, but it's got to be a good band.